All right, everyone, settle in. With your exam just around the corner, we're going to tackle a really crucial concept from lexical semantics. You know when you read something and it just flows? It all hangs together perfectly? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the invisible threads that writers use to create that exact feeling of coherence.
See, in pretty much any piece of writing, there's this hidden network connecting words and ideas right under the surface. And being able to see this network, to map it out, is absolutely key for high-level textual analysis. That's exactly what we're going to decode right now.
So what is this secret glue? What's holding everything together? Well, the answer, and this is the core concept you'll need to master for your exam, is something called the lexical chain.
Let's break that definition down a bit. A lexical chain isn't just a simple link between two words. No, it's a whole sequence of related items, 3, 4, maybe even a dozen, that weave their way through a text. They create texture, they reinforce meaning. Think of them like the threads that bind the entire fabric of a text together.
Now, these chains can operate on different scales. You've got your local chains, which work in a pretty small area, like across 2 sentences or within a single paragraph. But then you have the big ones, the global chains, and these can stretch across the entire document, giving it its main thematic structure.
Okay, for your test, it is absolutely essential that you can identify the 2 main types of lexical chains. They're built on 2 different kinds of relationships between words, identity and similarity. Let's dig into each one.
First up, we have identity chains. The key word here is co-reference. Every single member of this type of chain points back to the very same thing. For instance, if you read, John came home late. He felt exhausted. The boy decided to go to bed. Well, John, he, and the boy all refer to the exact same person. That's a classic identity chain.
So how do writers actually make these things? Well, they've got a few key tools in their toolbox. They can use simple repetition of the same word. They can use substitution, like swapping a name for a pronoun. They can create an equivalence between 2 terms, or use generalization, using a broader term like the boy for the specific name John.
And our second type is the similarity chain. Now with these, the words don't refer to the exact same thing. Instead, they all belong to the same general family, the same field of meaning. So you might see words like earth, water, oceans, rivers, glaciers. None of those are the same as each other, but they are all conceptually connected, right? They work together to build this cohesive picture of a planet defined by its water.
In the methods for building similarity chains, well, there's some overlap. You still see repetition and generalization, but you also see things like co-specification, which is basically listing a bunch of items from the same category. And you even see contrast, which can link ideas by showing how they're different, but still within the same overall field.
So to boil it all down for your revision notes, here's the simple version. Identity chains are all about referring to the same thing over and over, just using different words. Similarity chains are about referring to a group of related things from the same general category. One is super specific, the other is more thematic.
Okay, now that we've got the 2 basic types of chains down, we can move up to the next level. And this is where the real artistry of writing comes into play. What happens when these chains start working together? This is what we call chain interaction.
I know, that definition sounds super technical, but the concept behind it is actually pretty straightforward. Just think of it as parallel structure, but on a much bigger scale. It's what happens when different lexical chains all line up in the same repeating grammatical pattern and they start reinforcing each other. This table is a perfect, simple example of interaction at the sentence or clausal level. Just look at how the parallel structure works. We have a similarity chain for the sender, Mary, Kate. Another for the item that was sent, letter, postcard. And a third for the recipient, mother, father. Because they all slot into the exact same grammatical pattern. Subject, verb, object. It creates this really powerful, cohesive rhythm.
All right, theory's one thing, but let's actually do a practice run. This is exactly the kind of analysis you might have to do in the exam. So we're going to take a look at a short passage from the writer P.G. Wodehouse. Okay, take a moment to read this passage. As you're reading, just start looking for words or ideas that either repeat or seem to belong to the same general theme. What kind of patterns are starting to jump out at you? So, did you spot the first one? It's a really strong similarity chain all about light. We've got sunshine, amber shower bath, lighting up, and glow. All of these words are working together to paint this vivid, really consistent picture of a bright, sunny morning. What's next? Well,
Woodhouse builds another powerful similarity chain, but this one is all about place. We get Blandings Castle, then walls, parks, gardens, lawns. This chain really grounds us in the physical location. It's painting a very detailed picture of the setting for us.
And of course, there are people in this scene. So we get a third chain, another similarity chain that introduces the inhabitants. We start with that general term, and then we get specific examples. McAllister, Threepwood, Lord Emsworth, and Beach. This is a classic example of that co-specification we talked about earlier.
But here, this is where the real magic happens. The writer uses that repeated grammatical structure it fell on. That simple repetition forces an interaction between our sunshine chain, which is represented by the word it, our location chain, and our people chain. This parallel structure is the engine that links all three of those themes together, and it's what creates the beautiful, flowing rhythm of the entire passage.
So the crucial point to take away for your exam is this. Lexical chains are not just some fancy stylistic trick. They are the fundamental architectural blueprint of a coherent text. And once you learn to see them, you can understand the underlying structure of pretty much any piece of writing you come across. So I'll just leave you with this thought. You now have the tool to see that hidden architecture inside a text. So, as you prepare for your exam and as you continue your studies, ask yourself, what new patterns, what deeper structures are you going to find in everything you read from now on? Good luck.